Deep inside one of the most remote rainforests on Earth, something enormous has been hiding in the darkness for decades.
Deep inside one of the most remote rainforests on Earth, something enormous has been hiding in the darkness for decades.
This wasn't simply a truck. It looked like a giant mechanical crocodile swallowed by the jungle. The light revealed something no one expected, an enormous machine, with the face of a crocodile, buried deep inside the jungle. After decades beneath the jungle, the surface was almost destroyed, but beneath the rust, the enormous iron structure was still remarkably solid. The cabin had been sealed away from the world for decades. Inside, everything remained exactly where it had been left, covered in dust, mud, corrosion, and time. Beneath the massive hood was the heart of the machine, a giant diesel engine frozen by decades of rust, mud, and neglect. We had no modern recovery facility, just a simple jungle mechanic shelter. But with a powerful winch and teamwork, we began pulling the forgotten giant.
Watch the clearance!
Decades of abandonment had taken their toll. The body was heavily corroded, and every enormous tire had collapsed.
Inside the cabin, water had destroyed the roof, corrosion had consumed the dashboard, and the seats and carpet were almost beyond recognition. Inside the cabin, water had destroyed the roof, corrosion had consumed the dashboard, and the seats and carpet were almost beyond recognition. From the iron crocodile face to the very back of the chassis, decades of rust had attacked almost every part of the machine. Before the real restoration could begin, decades of jungle had to be washed away, one layer of mud, moss, and rust at a time. Before the engine could ever run again, every component had to come apart. Decades of rust had seized the machinery together. Each rusty component was submerged and scrubbed. Nothing would be overlooked. The smallest part could determine whether this forgotten engine would ever run again. Every surface was cleaned by hand, from the crankshaft and engine block to the smallest bearing and internal component. Years of corrosion were slowly brushed away. After hours of cleaning and inspection, the forgotten engine was finally ready to come back together. Piece by piece, the heart of the machine was rebuilt. The final touches were complete. Fresh oil flowed through the rebuilt engine, protecting its moving parts and preparing the forgotten heart of the machine for its return to the truck. Nothing damaged could remain. The entire interior was stripped down to the bare structure, giving the restoration team a clean foundation for rebuilding the cabin from the ground up. Piece by piece, the last damaged interior components were removed. Soon, nothing remained except the bare metal shell waiting for a new beginning. The rear container was just as badly damaged as the rest of the machine. To restore the chassis properly, the entire metal structure had to come off. With the damaged sections removed, the engineers began building the machine's skeleton, welding fresh iron into the massive chassis piece by piece.
Every tire had suffered decades of neglect. Before we could restore the machine, all of the enormous wheels had to come off. The old container was too damaged to simply repair. The engineers cut away the worst sections and rebuilt the weak areas with fresh steel, giving the rear body a new foundation. Once the damaged interior was stripped away, the engineers rebuilt the cabin from the inside out, reinforcing every weak section before the new interior could be installed. Once the damaged interior was stripped away, the engineers rebuilt the cabin from the inside out, reinforcing every weak section before the new interior could be installed. After welding the damaged sections, every rough seam had to be filed and smoothed. The cabin was finally taking shape, ready for its next stage of restoration.
After years of corrosion, every damaged section had to be rebuilt. The engineers welded fresh steel into the body, then filed in every rough seam until the massive After the welding was complete, the engineers began filling every imperfection. Layer by layer, the rough old body was transformed into a smooth surface ready for primer and paint.
Once the filler had cured, the engineers began sanding the body by hand, carefully smoothing every surface until the enormous crocodile machine was ready for primer.